Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Eating at a Meeting. I am Tracy Stuckrath, your host, and I am excited to bring to you today my guest, Mike Levinson. He is a dietitian and the founder of FS Octopus. With over 25 years of experience across food service and retail, Mike helps food and beverage brands grow by getting them into places like hotels, universities, restaurants, and he's known for keeping it real. Get ready for that when it comes to food service strategy. So welcome to the show, Mike.
Well, thank you. Pleasure to be here and looking forward to chatting with you.
Likewise. Okay, so let's just start out.
I freeze.
You did freeze, but I can still hear you.
I know, that's really weird.
It'll probably release in a second.
I just moved, but that was it.
All right, hopefully it
there
will.
We go.
There you go. There we go. Okay. All right. Let's start that over.
Sure.
I want to take something directly from your website that I saw. Because you said you help brands, small brands, get into places like hotels, universities, and restaurants. And on your website, you call them food service alternative channels and I'm going to preface this that I go to the I go to the restaurant show and I go to the Natural Products Expo. Mm-hmm. And when I talk to a lot of these brands, smaller ones that are trying to get in, they have no idea when I say, hey, I want you to be in a hotel. I want you to serve this. They're like, they really want to get into a grocery store. Yes. Right. So can you talk about that? And because that's literally what you're helping them do is think outside of grocery stores.
Yes, I have a lot to say. Hope I don't freeze up on you. Not me, not my voice freezing up but my camera. There are basically three buckets in the food and beverage CPG world. There's retail, meaning the Costco, Walmarts, Targets, Ahold, Kroger, Albertson, Publix, H-E-B, Wegmans. I could keep going. There are 77,000 retail distribution points out there.
77,000
grocery stores points. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So there's a lot out there, right? There's the Ahold banner, which is mostly a Northeast, owns quite a lot. Kroger owns many different banners. Albertsons owns many different banners. Out of those 77,000, there are about 22,000 independent grocery stores, the one-offs, smaller, regional chains, if you will, that are not part of the big groups. So there's one bucket of retail. The other two buckets, one is D2C, Amazon, Thrive Market, Good Egg, and a bunch of other, your own website, Shopify. So there's quite a lot of online direct to consumer, right? Mm-hmm. The third bucket, created many years ago, I call it the junk bucket. It's food service. So there's three buckets. There's retail, D2C, and food service. Well, food service is very, very fragmented. The reason why I have chosen my business name of FS Octopus is because food service octopus. You can kind of see on my shirt that I just got, and I love it. That's my logo, and hopefully you'll post something or people can check it out down the road here. Food service is very fragmented, meaning there are many channels. There's not a one clear-cut answer or direction. When you have a product and you go to retail, you go to a category buyer or the store manager or procurement, and you say, I want to get my product in there, and they tell you, you missed the reset date, or come back when the reset date is, or it's going to cost you X amount because you're basically renting space on a grocery store shelf. Food service, there's a lot of different tentacles, arms, including K-12 and college and universities, convenience store, micro markets, military, hospitality and restaurants, the caterers, prisons, cruise ships. It really goes on and on and on. So as I said, high level overview, there are three buckets. There's retail, there's D2C, and then there's food service. And retail, very straightforward. D2C, relatively straightforward. Amazon, your own website, etc. Food service is kind of the junk drawer of a lot of different avenues to explore. I'll pause there for your comments, questions.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing, because when I think, and I've started using the word food service, but to try to reach those caterers / hoteliers / convention centers, but there's so much more that food service falls under. I mean, and I know it falls under schools, but my focus with eating at a meeting, because it's meetings, is like, how do you get into those hotels and convention centers? And as I said, I mean, none of these brands really think about that market for them.
Yeah, and I'll interrupt you and say the following. Food and beverage brands have been sold a bill of goods. A bill of goods means false, not accurate or true, that you have to be in retail. So what happens is you've got a granola product, a peanut butter, I don't care what the product is, and you make it in your basement, and you go to farmers markets and people buy it and they love it. And they say to you, your friends and family say it's great. You need to be in Whole Foods. You need to be in Target or Walmart. And the brand owner goes, yeah, I should. And they go down that path. Why? That's all they know. It's really straightforward and quote unquote easy. And I say easy, not easy to get in, but easy with the direction of what to do, as well as the fact that food service is not sexy like retail. It's really, really sexy and glamorous to see your product on the Whole Food shelf or at a Hy-Vee or at a Publix or H-E-B or at a local grocery store. It's very sexy. People don't understand and realize the following. It's extremely expensive, meaning, and I said this a minute ago, you are renting space on a retail shelf. Okay. I don't care if it's food, beverage, or clothing or cosmetics. You are renting that space, whether it's 1 inch, 6 inches, 12 inches, a whole aisle. You are renting space, meaning you have to have marketing. You have to have the finances for promotions, TPRs, slotting fees. I say this to everyone, and I'm going to tell you and your audience, it's really, 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 it's really straightforward. If Tracy, you have a popcorn product and it is on the shelf at your local grocery store and you are selling, and the velocity is 10 units a week, and that's really great at a grocery store compared to what the average is for the category.
Only 10 is great?
Hey, a lot of them are 3 a week, 4 items a week at a grocery store. It's all about the categories. I was in the frozen pizza. If you sell 4 or 5 a week, you're really great for certain things. So let's say you have a popcorn item and you're selling 10 units a week per store. And I won't mention a grocery store name just for respect, but grocery store ABC says, wow, Tracy's popcorn's doing really great. And you're doing 10 units a week. What are they going to do? They're going to most likely knock you off because a private label is less expensive. They own the customer and they'll take your exact ingredient unless you've got strong branding and loyalty. On the flip side, you have a popcorn and you're doing 1 or 2 units a week and you're taking up space and they're not making any money. You're out. And I've seen it happen more times than you have fingers and toes in the last year. Point being, retail is not the path to go down for CPG brands, consumer packaged goods brands. The path to go down is explore alternative channels / food service. So for the context of this conversation, eating at a meeting, caterers and big events, there are many items that CPG brands could really explore with going after a caterer or going after a hotel or some event that's got large amounts of people. The question is going to be the following. Does your product solve a pain point? Meaning, I'll let you tell me. Let's play the game. Tell me a product out there, a brand, not even a brand, but like a food or beverage, and I'll dive down in that. Name any food or beverage that is a catering product.
Well, okay, just muffins. I mean, every single hotel, muffins.
Muffins. If you've got a muffin item and you think it's the best muffin item on planet Earth and planet Mars, and your friends and family love it, and you go and say, I'm going to go after the food service world and introduce my muffin. If there's not a need for it, if you are not solving a pain point with a distributor, with a caterer, with a group purchasing organization, with anyone that's going to buy the product, you're wasting time and you're wasting resources. My point being, there has to be a need. Okay, just because you and your friends and family and neighbors and community love the product, that doesn't mean it's solving a need for, you're not a solution for this. But if you have a muffin that is gluten-free, that is vegan, that is free of the top 9 allergens or whatever, and it focuses on a niche, that is the path to explore, because there's a need for it. Most items in the food service world or in the retail world are commodity items, meaning there's really nothing different about the beverage or the food product. And you ask brands and they'll tell you their product is different. No, they're not. I don't care what the product is or brand. There are very, very, very few unicorns out there. Liquid Death is a unicorn. Is it really different than anything else? No. It was just great marketing and packaging. So there are very few and far between unicorn products out there. Most are Me Too with a little bit of a different twist. So if whoever's listening has a brand, a product, if they are not solving a pain point, they need to reevaluate their product and their channel to explore.
Well, okay, bringing that up. So Lori De Leon is on Instagram over here, and so is Enjoy Food RD. But Lori said, haha, as an allergy mom, I buy out their stock of certain products. And I'm going to echo that, because my big thing is Banza gluten-free vegan pizza crust with nothing on it, right? Just the plain one. When I go onto Banza's website, I find where I can buy it, because I cannot get the plain here in New Bern, North Carolina. But I found them in the Walmart 7 hours away in Asheville, North Carolina. And I bought 10 boxes of them and drove them home 7 hours. I mean, I could probably get them online and ship them to me, but I'm like, I take them out of the box. I put them in a Ziploc so they don't get messed up. You know, the boxes don't get messed up from the ice. But I'm with her. I'm like, I'm buying out what I can to bring home. And that's where you're solving a problem, right?
Well, and I appreciate Lori's comment, and whoever else is going to comment or will. I'm gonna really talk about the gluten-free, vegan, free of the top 9 allergy, that category right now. So for your listening audience and viewing audience, as well as you, I do consulting for a handful of brands. One brand in particular is a fantastic brand out of Longmont, Colorado. I live in Denver. So Longmont, for anyone that doesn't know, is right by Boulder. It's a little small suburb of Boulder. It really is the hotbed of a lot of CPG emerging. I don't like that word emerging, but we'll use it for this conversation. Emerging brands. It's a fantastic area. So the company's called Sweet Escape Pastries, and you and I spoke off camera about this. Sweet Escape Pastries is based in Longmont. They do not make any pastry products. What they do make are basically 3 items. They make a 10-inch, 12-inch, and 14-inch par-baked pizza crust, and they make a linguine and rigatoni. And you're going, okay, what's so great about that? Well, the answer is very simple. These 5 items, 10-inch, 12-inch, 14-inch rigatoni and linguine, are certified gluten-free, free of the top 9 allergies or allergens, as well as a vegan product. Why is it on this planet? Well, the owner, Melissa, and her 2 kids have true celiac. Putting my dietitian hat on for a moment, about 1% of the population has celiac. However, that's not a huge amount. However, people that have allergies or vegan, that affects around 25 to 30% of households. Here's my point. My point being that the person that has the allergy, the person that's got celiac, irritable bowel, the person that is vegan chooses the restaurant when they go out to eat. Sweet Escape Pastries is not a retail item. You will not find it in retail. Very Colorado focused. Anyone listening that has a pizzeria, a restaurant, a caterer, anything wholesale, reach out to me. Happy to get samples and some information. I'm not here to necessarily plug the product, but I will tell you and your audience, I have had, and I have no, knock on wood, I have no irritable bowel, no celiac, no GI issues. I'm not vegan. I'm not free of the 9 allergens. Neither are my family members. The product are absolutely fantastic. You will not know it's gluten-free. And I will not mention competitors. I've had competitors and it tastes like cardboard. It tastes like crap. Yeah. This product is absolutely amazing. The product is stocked in many different pizza chains all throughout Colorado. Independents, larger regional chains, 40 restaurant, 50 restaurant chains. Fantastic item. Nice. My point being the following, that I believe it's 34 million households have some member of their family that's got some sort of an allergy to the top 9 allergens. So restaurants, caterers are missing the boat. I did some research and homework. An average restaurant or pizzeria that's got one store, a store is a location, one restaurant, will lose anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000 a year by not offering a gluten-free option. Okay, so anyone listening, watching this podcast, I guarantee it, they know somebody, whether they live with that person or they are that person or have neighbors, they're out there. So 34 million households have some, quote, gluten-free, allergy-free, and these restaurants are missing it. It's a profitable conversation they're missing. And back in the day, gluten-free was really crappy and nasty tasting. Now, there's some amazing products out there that people don't even know they're gluten-free. Even if you don't have a gluten intolerant or allergy, it's a healthy way to eat and people should explore it. But restaurants don't, because they think their customers don't want that. Or if they do, they're not really advertising on the menu like they should. And they're missing out on big dollars.
Well, and then also the opportunity to educate your staff too on understanding what you're serving and doing that. That's a big deterrent. I was in a restaurant a couple of weeks ago and yes, it was an Asian restaurant and there was a barrier of conversation, but at the same time, having somebody to be able to talk about what your menu is and what it offers is a huge opportunity to upsell and do say what you've got, because those servers, whether you're in a restaurant or in a convention center, they're the ones that are, selling your food, right? Or serving your food and asking the questions.
Yes. Well, this one larger pizza chain based in Colorado, I think has 40 something stores. The team at Sweet Escape has gone into each store and trained the staff. So it's really important. If somebody has true celiac, they cannot smell, taste, be in the room with gluten. It will cause them a lot of issues. So, for instance, I'll go back to Sweet Escape. Each item is individually packaged. They take it out, they put it on a pizza pan. with a special oven or clean the oven, and they run it through their impinger or their convection oven or whatever oven they've got. So this is not a trending conversation, right? Gluten-free was trending 10, 15 years ago, like paleo, like keto, like the vegan world, plant, animal-based versus, those are all trending things. Gluten-free is a sustainable business because of people with their medical dietetic issues, if you will, that I put it in terms of finances for anyone listening that owns a restaurant. You're missing out if you don't offer a product like this, because people are going to not want to go there. And if you don't advertise that you have gluten-free offerings, whether it's a bread, desserts, pizza, pasta, whatever it is, and their staff is trained, they're missing out on some decent volume here.
So there's so much to unpack in that. And one question that I want to have, and I want to say hello to the people on Instagram that are chiming in. Enjoy Food RD, hello, and Lori, and then TR Boole, thank you for joining us. But there are people who do have them, right? And then they're hesitant. They're like, oh, it's gluten friendly, and they don't do that training, and they don't understand that value, and they're like, okay, well, it's the legal speak behind the scenes, because they're afraid to say that it's gluten free, right?
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You are 100% correct. Restaurants have to be very careful of liability, and they don't want anyone to go in their restaurant and it says gluten free and on the menu, and they order something and they have issues, get sick, hospitalized, whatever the case may be. So I am shocked when somebody like the owner of Sweet Escape, Melissa, who is a true celiac, goes into a pizzeria, but she and her family go into pizzerias and restaurants that are trained. We went to another restaurant here in the Denver area a couple of weeks ago, and she ordered her item, not pizza. She ordered pasta with a sauce on it, and the waitress, the wait staff said the following, and Melissa didn't tell her that it was her product. She said, "Hey, I'm gluten-free, celiac, and I really cannot eat anything with gluten. It'll make me very sick." And the waitress said the following: "I recommend this pasta item. It is gluten-free, and this sauce. However, we do use some Parmesan cheese in our sauce." And Melissa said, "Okay, great. I can have a little Parmesan." That wait staff has been trained. Okay. However, if they don't offer it or they don't stick to strict guidelines, people aren't going to go there, right? If you're a true celiac, you're not going to go there unless you feel comfortable. So once again, I put it back in terms of not the consumer. I put it back in terms of the restaurateur, the owner. They're losing out on money. And at the end of the day, it's about the money for them and serving good products to the community and their consumers. But they're missing out on that. Every restaurant should have gluten-free and vegan offerings and free of the top 9 allergens, because it affects a third of households out there.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So because you help those brands get into these alternative markets, the hotels, the schools, et cetera, what is like the biggest barrier for them to get in there? I mean, if they don't have you, right? But what's the method to get in there? And because if that XYZ chef hasn't heard of you because they're not one, following your social media, or you're not on the grocery store shelf, how do they break those barriers to get in and talk to that executive chef or the purchasing manager at a hotel or a convention center?
It's really simple and easy. I always I like analogies. Okay. I'll put it in terms of anyone that's listening that is a baseball fan. Even if you don't like the game, you understand baseball, the game. So little Johnny or little Jill's a 7-year-old baseball player. Okay. 7. And they say to their mom or dad, "Mommy, Daddy, I want to play for the New York Yankees." And Mommy and Daddy says, "Great. And let's go get in the car." And they drive to Yankee Stadium. and little Johnny or Jill walk in there and say, I'm going to play for you guys and I want to try out, it's not a good fit. They're not even going to entertain that. I'm going somewhere with this.
Okay.
As opposed to mom or dad saying to Johnny or Jill, you're 7. Let's start with T-ball and Little League in our own backyard. So anyone listening, stop trying to play in the ocean and go after large opportunities. Start playing in your backyard. Start playing in lakes, rivers, streams, and ponds in your backyard. Meaning, you've got a product you think is great for an executive chef. You go get in your car, you bring product to that chef, and you give him or her product. And the term you're going to use is, I want feedback. I want you to use it. Does this solve a pain point? And if the chef says, oh my gosh, this is great. I've been looking for this regenerative flour, or I've been looking for this item. And then the brand owner says, great, try it out. What's next steps? And the chef says, well, I think I can go through 5 cases a week or 10 cases a week. And we use Cisco, US Foods, Performance Food Group, Benny Keith, What Chefs Want, Gourmet Food International. I go on. And those are all distributors. We're all online distributors. That's the name of the game. Stop contacting distributors. Stop contacting the Darden, Landry, Brinkers, big, huge restaurant chain groups. Start playing with onesies and twosies. Get feedback. Get customer insight. Get chefs on board. And start small, like T-ball, versus thinking you're going to go into a Whole Foods or into a cheesecake factory.
Right.
Not going to happen at all. And don't waste your time on that. Focus on your small independents and get feedback. Distributors don't bring in products because they like you or they like the product. The word distributor means distribute product. What they do is they want you to bring product. You deliver or they pick up into their warehouse, and they want it gone within a week or 2 weeks. Yep. They don't want to sit on inventory. So anyone listening or watching this, put all of your bandwidth, resources, energy into small, local, and is there a need for your product? Just because your neighbors love it and think that your quinoa is fantastic or your olive oil, that does not mean shit. That's right. Direct as I can.
Well, and it's like me calling Red Plate Food and saying, hey, I want to, and talking to a chef that I was doing an event at his hotel and saying, hey, I want to bring this product in because it's free of the top 9 allergens and it's vegan. And, and so we brought cookies in, and we actually brought in Zigo oatmeal as well, because it's certified gluten-free. And the chef was like, he ordered direct from the product from those companies.
Yes.
Right. And they worked around it. All right. We have a comment on here on LinkedIn from Will Reynolds.
What's up, Will? I know Will. I love Will.
Okay. Well, good. Hi, Will.
Hi, Will.
He said, celiac is covered under the Americans with Disabilities Act, and is oftentimes, if you are in prison with celiac, the prison food system is not equipped with a steady supply of gluten-free items. So how do we solve that problem?
I'm shocked, Will, that you're talking about the prison systems, to be really honest, and the correctional systems. I usually don't talk about that. It's a good question. The only way to go about it is to, if there are needs for it, is to go after the procurement team or group purchasing organization, whoever's in charge of the correctional facilities. I do know one distributor, a bunch of them, but Vistar works a lot with the correctional facilities. I don't have a clear-cut answer in how to go about that, except for the fact that if someone in the prison system has celiac and needs items, that has to be addressed with the location, with the procurement manager, with a distributor to bring in items. I don't know much about the correctional facility and how they operate. I know there's large opportunities with the correctional facility, with the military, which are really untapped markets. K-12 is another one that's really untapped. I probably skated around that answer because I don't have a clear-cut answer on the correctional facility.
Hey, Will, send me a message, because my friend from high school might have be able to find answers for you. So definitely send me a message on that. And I'm not going to name names because I don't want to throw that out there if she doesn't know, but she might, right?
And Will and I just spoke yesterday. He can reach out to me as well, and I could see what I can dig up, if you will. I know there are contracts at the correctional facilities, and there's price sensitivity for it. I've never been asked that question. It's a great question. I don't have the real specific answer.
Yeah. Well, and because you mentioned K-12 as well. So a couple of years ago, I went to a state nutrition conference, and it was for nutritionists for the school systems for that state. And like I went down the first aisle of food products, and they could answer every single question about, hey, this meets the number 1, 2, 3, or whatever nutrition thing for the students, but only one company could list their allergens. And that was the Idaho potatoes. And they actually had a spreadsheet of that. No one else could tell me because I couldn't eat it. I'm like, I need to know if it's got this. And I was blown away that none of those brands could actually answer the question about allergens, which like is mind blowing.
Well, the K-12 world is really all about grains and veggie counts and things like that. There really is some education that needs to happen in K-12, as well as some products that are introduced to K-12, because that's where it starts. I will piggyback on that, and the college and university as well. There are 4,500 to 5,000 colleges and universities in this country, and the majority of them do not offer something like an allergy-friendly thing. Whether it comes down to there's no product opportunities that they know of, or pricing, I don't know that on a school by school level. But there are some opportunities for any allergy-free brand that are out there to focus on K-12. K-12 is really interesting because a lot of it is on an RFP. It's on a bid basis for the large schools. However, there's a lot of charter, private, independent school districts out there that would be open to it. And I think every school in this country, whether it's a CNU or K-12, needs to offer something to their students. Because what happens now is they have to bring lunch from home, or they don't eat at all because they don't want to take chances, and they have to bring their EpiPen. It's a real issue, and it goes back to the restaurant world as well, untapped market. So anyone listening that's got a free of the top 9 allergies, or something like that, or gluten-free, or a really solid product, reach out to me. I would love to explore it with you guys and see if there's opportunities. I'm very connected to a lot of the CNU and some K-12 out there, but there's major opportunities to explore that.
Well, and then I'm just going to plug Allergic Living's list of schools, colleges, and universities that do have the food allergy focus on them. They promote it to kids like, hey, when you're looking at schools, if you have got a food allergy, look at this list. I think Food Fair has one as well, that have those programs. And a lot of that also came in, and I don't know how familiar you are with this, but the Leslie University case back in 2008, I believe, where they required the students to eat on their food plan but they were not providing accommodations for people with food allergies, and for the students with food allergies and celiac disease. And those students took it to the Justice Department, and the Justice Department found the university negligent. And so now a lot of programs have gone that way because, you can't, as Will mentioned, celiac falls under the Americans with Disabilities Act. And so they weren't providing those options. So a lot of schools have gone that route, but not everybody.
I would love, and send me that, please, Tracy. I don't know anything about that, and I'm really interested to learn about. At the end of the day, we are talking about quote unquote pain points for anyone, whether you're K-12, at a CNU, at a business and tech campus, at a hotel, at a restaurant. It doesn't matter. These are pain points that have to be solved. It's like the following. Way back when, a lot of businesses did not have ramps for American with Disability Acts. They all do now. If not, they're getting shut down immediately, right? So it's the same thing with this. Just because you can't see some quote unquote physical disability it's hard to put celiacs and anyone in that category under the American Disability Act, but that's how it's lumped under. And every single eating establishment should offer something like that. It doesn't matter if it's a pizzeria or a burger place or something like that. They should offer that. And it just takes Congress and some laws and government to really push that forward.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And there's things changing. And Will, I don't know if you're following this either, and even Mike, like in California, states or Senate Bill 68, which is the Addy bill, is being pushed through to require that the top 9 allergens be labeled on all restaurant menus.
Oh, wow.
So that's 2 steps from Governor Newsom, or 1 step away from Governor Newsom signing it into law. So it would be the first state to do that. So there's things that are changing, but they also need to have these products available, right? And understand them. So
yes.
So what do these product, let's go from the product side of this. So I think your product, right? And what are the misconceptions from these companies and even actually meeting planners or event planners have about products getting them into food service? I mean, they don't know it exists, right? We just assume that it's on the grocery store and that's the way it's going to be. But what can we glean from not understanding that, and what can we do differently?
It really, Tracy, it's really chicken or the egg. That's what it comes down to.
Okay.
And I'm going to try to simplify it as much as possible. In the food service world, high level overview, if food service establishments use distributors, okay, I will mention some large distributors. They're fantastic to work with, truly. Cisco is one of the biggest ones out there, probably the biggest, massive, and it's with SYSCO, not the CISCO, different, right? So Cisco's a really big one, and these are called broadliners, meaning they've got everything under their warehouse: frozen, refrigerated, shelf stable, chemicals, cleaning supplies. They're basically a one-stop shop. Produce, they've got it all. Cisco, US Foods is a really big one. Performance Food Group. I worked for Performance Food Group for many years. Those are broadliners. There's a lot of other ones. There's Benny Keith and Gordon Foodservice and a handful of others that are out there. The issue is the following, that somebody could have a great product that's a great fit for a food service establishment. Food service establishments don't like to have multiple vendors and suppliers, right? Like they try to consolidate it, and I don't want to go into too much detail. It's a financial thing, and they bid on it. But if you're a restaurant group or an independent restaurant, most likely you're going to get it from a broadliner. Some people go to Restaurant Depot, which is a brick and mortar. Most of them get it from a distributor. So if you've got a product and you go to a chef, and the chef says, "I love your product," but they don't want to get it directly from you. It's too much management for these food service establishments to have to write a check to somebody else, or when's my order? They want to consolidate. So the chicken or the egg is you have to get the buy-in and the projected volume and the commitment from a restaurant group or a chef independent, and it's got to meet the minimums, meaning and I throw this out there, usually it's 5 cases a week, whatever it is that they need. Every broadliner's different and every category is different, but let's just say that they have to hit those minimums. Then what happens is the brand would go to the executive chef, procurement, owner, whoever is in charge of ordering product, and say, will you please connect me with your distributor salesperson? And what they do is they get connected, and they got to get that paperwork started. And it does take time. It is not easy to do. You've got to go through some hoops. Sometimes they might charge you to get slotting into their distributor. That's the way to the traditional way to go about it. It sounds clear cut. It's really hard and difficult because I don't want to go into too much detail, but these broadline distributors, and like I said a minute ago, they're fantastic to work with. They're incentivized by pushing their EB exclusive brands. Okay. So I don't want to share too much more information about that. Anyone listening that has questions can reach out to me. I'm very accessible, email, LinkedIn, go to my website, and I can answer specific questions. But that's the way to go about it is start small, get feedback, get data points, have your plan of how you're going to go about this for the next 60-day, 90-day, 6 months, a year, 2 years, and stick to your plan and solve a pain point for a restaurateur. And just as I keep saying the same thing, just because you think your product is great, there's got to be a need for it. If there's not a need for it, that's going to be an issue. You got to find the need for it.
Well, and it really is fitting that niche, and it's fitting. It's financial. What you said like earlier on too. It's like if you can fill that niche, one, and two, bring them additional revenue, which is huge. That's going to be the selling point on that. And I think starting with, and let's just use a hotel, like a majority of hotels are franchise owned. Yes, right. So they're owned by Mike and run by me, even though they have that big old brand name on there. Sure. But if you can go convince Mike, who owns it and is the buyer for that, then you're going to be able to get into that, and then maybe that person is going to the global meeting of chefs, saying, hey, this is a brand I'm using. But I know there are some group purchasing stipulations, sure. And stipulations, regulations that the brands have, but I think if you can bring in a lot of them are bringing in local products, right? Saying, hey, I mean, like, our local brand.
Here's a perfect example. Our great friends over at Coke and Pepsi, they fight it out. They own the beverage soda world. Okay, so you've got a great soda product, and it's not a Poppy, right? Which is owned by Pepsi. It's another.
Oh, it is. Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, and they're good people, by the way. Poppies, they're fantastic.
Yeah,
or Olipop, but you've got another. You've got Tracy's brand, and you want to get into. I'll make this real life. I do some work for a company called Big B's, BIGBS, and it's a Colorado-based 60-year-old company, beverage company. They have their own orchard. They make lemonade, apple juice. They make ciders. Absolutely fantastic. Strong retail distribution, getting into the food service world. This is a real life example. And I'm happy to, well, I won't share the university. They got into, they're in talks with a university, a really large university, state university, which is a Coke or Pepsi contract. Meaning 80 to 90% have to be a Coke or Pepsi item or distributed by Coke or Pepsi. There is a 10 to 20%. So there's ways to get in there without upsetting the apple cart, no pun intended, of a Coke or Pepsi, right? At the end of the day, consumers, restaurateurs, buyers, we're all human beings, and we all are. If there's no pain point, there's no solution. For instance, if I just got a new pair of Birkenstocks, I love Birkenstocks, and I got a new pair of Birkenstocks, and I saw an ad for a competitor, but I just got my Birkenstocks and I love the brand. Am I really going to want to go out and buy another pair? I just got them. No.
Right.
It's like I love this one example I use. There's 155,000 convenience stores in the U.S. 155,000 C-stores owned by a lot of different, the 7-Eleven, Couche-Tards, Casey's, Wawa's, and some independents. The number one snack item, candy item sold in every convenience store across the country is Snickers. Why is that? I'll tell you why. It doesn't matter. San Diego, Miami, New York, Des Moines, Iowa. Number one is Snickers across the board.
Wow. Why? Betty White?
Who?
Betty White?
No, nothing to do with marketing. Maybe, but here's what it has to do with. Consumers know the flavor profile. They know the brand, they know the price point, they know what they're getting. If someone comes out with a Snickers imitation that costs more money, they're not buying it. No one's buying it. There's no solution to that pain point because there is no pain point. However, if Snickers was out of stock or there was an issue with Snickers or something was going on, there's a pain point, meaning it translates to anything in this world. If there is no pain point, you don't have a solution, and your job is to find their pain point, whether it's consistency, price, quality, ingredient specs, whatever it is, you got to go in on that approach.
Yeah, 100%. Because again, well, and I'll use this analogy of airport beverage director. I want to say that's his title. And I was talking to him about having non-alcoholic beverages in the bars, right? And he's like, I am not going to take away a bottle of Tito's off of the shelf that makes me this much money all year long, because an airport is a much smaller space than a grocery store, right? And so why am I going to try to do that when I am not guaranteed that there's enough of those people wanting non-alcoholic beverages to replace the Tito's?
Or it could be, funny you're talking about Tito's. I had a conversation with a buddy of mine today about Tito's. Great brand. I don't drink alcohol either. But if there's an imitation Tito's out there, Tito's has done such a great job with their branding and marketing and loyalty. No one's changing unless there's issues with Tito's. It doesn't matter the category, right? And you hit on the head. Shelf space is limited. It's still limited at retail. There's 40 to 50,000 items at retail. And if you've got another beverage or kombucha or a non-alc product, but there's no social media, there's no marketing, there's no brand awareness, they're not going to bring in your product because they like you or they like the product. They want data. Once again, be a solution to a pain point. That's what it comes down to.
Right. Well, and I was listening to you on the Fire Belly podcast, and you had that quote about Steve Martin, right?
Yeah, that's my favorite quote.
Yeah. So will you tell everybody what that quote is and why it's important?
So Steve Martin has a little clip. I have it. It's fantastic. It's 50 seconds long, and he's on. Oh God, Charlie Rose, I think his name is, who I think passed away anyway years ago. And he says, nobody wants to hear this. Everyone wants to hear there's some clear-cut cookie answer that nobody knows about, cookie-cutter answer in the acting and writing and directing entertainment world. You get an agent and you do this and you do that. And he said, nobody wants to hear this one line. And the line is, be so good they can't ignore you. And 99% of your viewing audience and listening don't give a shit about that line. And it doesn't mean anything to them. And it's just hot air that I'm talking, but it really is the most powerful line they'll ever hear in their life. Be so good they can't ignore you. What does that mean? That means that you are building your brand up and you are so good with the marketing and who your brand is, your target market and your loyalty and your brand awareness, and you've done a great job with social media and you're loud out there, that a category buyer, a restaurateur, a procurement, COO, they all know about it. And that is a great conversation to have and a great powerful position to be in when somebody comes to you versus you going to somebody. And it doesn't matter the category, the industry. If I cold call, and I do this all the time for brands, it's a numbers game. Very few get back to me. You know why? They don't give a shit. But if they come to me and they say, I heard about your brand, I saw your brand, someone told me about your brand, you have a powerful position to be in because they're coming to you. Once again, be so good they can't ignore you.
Yeah, 100%. And that just reiterates every single thing that you've talked about in this entire 45 minutes 50 minutes that we've been talking. I mean, because you have to fill and meet a need that they don't have. And they might not even know they don't have the need. They might not know that they have that need.
Sure.
But if you're so good that they can't ignore you, then you're going to teach them that need is necessary. They have that need.
And in life, it comes down to, in life there are three buckets, and nothing to do with retail, food service, and D2C. I read this years ago, and it really resonated with me. One bucket is oxygen. Okay. Meaning you need it. I don't believe there's anything on this planet anymore that can fit in that category. Water. And someone said to me, well, my beverage. No. Category wise, there's water, there's food, there's sunlight, there's shelter, there's medicine. Maybe you have a new medicine that will cure a common cold or cancer. Okay. That's great. That's one category, which is so small, oxygen. Then there is aspirin, ibuprofen, a pain relief. You are solving somebody's pain. That's a larger bucket, but still not that big of a bucket. So there's oxygen, aspirin, and the bottom one, which is 95% of products out there and services, is jewelry. You do not need it, but you want it. Right. Those are the three buckets. So I challenge anyone listening and watching this podcast, tell me where your product fits. And I'm going to get comments and feedback. Well, it fits in aspirin. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Maybe it does, but my guess is it doesn't. And if I hear someone tell me anymore, they're the first to market, I'm going to come pinch their head off, because there's nothing first to market out there anymore at all. It might be different, but there's no such thing as your first to market. So most 98% of products fit in the jewelry category, that it's a want and not a need.
Interesting. I love that. Thank you for that. Okay. Some rapid fire questions real quick. What's your go-to meal when you're traveling for work at a hotel and, at a restaurant, hotel, restaurant, grab and go, or room service?
Me personally? I eat very, very clean. I put my dietitian hat on. I usually get veggies, lean protein, and if there's a cleaner starch out there, carbohydrate, I'll eat it. I don't have any gluten issues.
Okay. If you could instantly put one dietary friendly product on every hotel or university menu, what would it be?
I would offer some gluten-free options that taste good, and
okay,
that's the catch.
As a person who can eat gluten, you're a good taste tester for that, saying, hey, this is a good product.
Yes.
Biggest food service trend you think is overly hyped right now?
Biggest food service trend that's overly hyped. I think maybe different ethnic flavor profiles that are traveling around for different categories. There's a lot of it, and I think we're going to circle back to the basics, quality, good tasting food that is not overly priced. I've seen the market creep up on pricing, and it's getting very, very, very expensive for a burger and fries at certain places.
Yeah.
I mean, my wife just spent $20 on a burger and fry. I don't eat out, by the way. I'm in the world, and I don't eat out unless I absolutely have to. I like making my own food. So that's a good question.
Okay.
I don't really have a clear-cut answer.
Okay.
Good
All right. So at a coffee break at a conference, are you a sweet guy, a savory bite, or a fruit plate?
I don't eat at conferences, but I'll talk high level.
Okay.
I don't eat at trade shows either, just because. I'll pick on my personal preference. When I go on a cruise ship or anywhere where it's like all you can eat, or even when I'm traveling and my wife and I are going to Japan and South Korea in a month, I gravitate towards sweets. I love sweets because I'm not a sweet person. Just kidding. But no, I love sweets, but I like savory as well. But I'm not a French fry or a chip guy. I'm really all about really quality desserts, I guess.
Okay. All right. That would be it. And actually, one last question. If you could roll all of this up, and you're talking about sustainability, safety, and inclusion, what would you say?
For brands or in general?
Yeah. What does safety, sustainability, and inclusion mean to you when it comes to brands?
They're all different. I think where food comes from, how it's packaged. I got the plastic scare months ago. If you see I do glass. I don't know if it's marketing bullshit from the glass industry or not, but I've rid our cabinets as much as I can of plastic. So I think being a conscious human being and paying attention to where things are sourced, as well as who they're sourced from, as well as doing your best to make it the best for the environment, I think is really important. There's a quote, and I hope I don't butcher it. Instead of something to the effect of, instead of making the world a better place for our kids, make our kids better for the world. Something to that effect. Meaning the younger generation is what's going to drive the sustainability and flourishing of this country, if you will.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So you can connect with Mike here on LinkedIn. Mike Levinson, there you go. And then your website is fsoctopus.com.
That is it.
I so appreciate you coming on here and joining me. And it's a whole new world to think about. You don't have to be on the grocery store. You could actually be in a hotel sundry shop or, the school store rather than in the grocery store.
That's
Make
correct.
It real. Yeah.
I'll end with the quote, nothing to do with the food world. I love quotes.
That's okay.
The quote that comes to my mind is from Mae West, the actress. And she said, "You only live once, but if done right, once is enough."
I love that.
There you go.
That's awesome. All right. Enjoy Food RD. Thank you for staying with us, Miss Christina, Liz Loans, etc., as well as Will. I appreciate you all being here and listening to Mike and I chat. Next week starts Food Safety Awareness Month, so stay tuned for some information on that. And until then, stay safe and eat well. Thanks, everybody.